Hello, my name is Orlando.
And my name is Damari, and this is our Introduction to Engineering project, Keeping the Peace with a Quieter Blender. Have you ever wondered if you could make your blender quieter? Well, we answer this question with this project. The entirety of our project revolves around the sound of a blender and how we can dampen it with different ways and different materials because, as you know, blenders are relatively loud, and every time someone wants to use a blender to make a smoothie or something like that, it disturbs the entire household. And so we decided to find some way to make it quieter through this experiment. And in this picture, we're outside testing the blender with our data recording app.
In the data collecting methods, we use a decibel reading app, which measures the sound levels of a basic blender. In the picture below, you can see that what we saw in our app, which shows the different levels of a blender, which are different levels and different. We use decibels and hertz to show what the levels were. And in the previous picture, she saw what we were doing outside, testing our blender and showing just blending normal water.
With our data analysis, our thought process was to get a control group to compare it to our adjustments when we would test them. We did a few tests where one was just blending with the water by itself normally, and then the other test was just blending but with our added improvements to see if there was a difference. And then we compared our data and we compressed them into a single graph to give out like an average of our graph. And then we also labeled where the peak was, and the peak of this graph in particular was 97.3 decibels.
After we were finished collecting our data and all of that stuff and writing our data in our graphs, we did a product function model, which shows the steps of a blender that converts its use electrical energy and to make a blended food, which is our final product. First, you start off with just food and water. Put it in a blender, turn it on, blend your food, which finally turns into a smoothie. But before all that happens, first you have to use electrical energy. So you get your blender connected to your outlet and then turn it on. Once you turn it on, your blender gets its electrical energy from its outlet, which converts that into magnetic energy. After that, it uses its magnetic energy to convert it into kinetic energy, which is kinetic energy is the movement of different stuff, which causes that kinetic energy causes the blades to move and cut up and slice and everything, your food. And in this case, it blends our water and food and turns it into a smoothie.
For our suggested improvements, we decided to use a towel type of method to where we just use a sound dampener like a towel, hoodie, or whatever to place underneath the base of the blender. That way, it could stabilize the blender and cause less vibrations. And our other improvement would be wrapping sound insulation or sound dampeners around the base of the blender, so it could also further quiet the blender. Normally, sound insulation costs around $50, so it's very feasible for someone to if they want to improve their blender, to just buy some off of Amazon and just get a quieter blender. And we were using that because sound waves are just vibrations. So if you stop the vibrations via the sound dampener underneath the base, and also the sound insulation material to wrap around the base, it will in theory make the sound a lot quieter. And we did just that. And as you can see with this graph, we made the peak was a lot lower than the 97.3 from above. So so our improvements did work, and they are relatively easy and cheap to make.
You can use household items like towels or something that you can find around your house, like a styrofoam or cupboards, and then use those to also reduce the sound of your blender. Or if you just want to get a simple box and just put it over your blender while you're using, that could also work in reducing the sound. And like how he said, it's just sound is just vibrations, which that can stop the vibrations and everything. Well, that's our whole project, and this is our project to Intro to Engineering, and I hope you liked it, and it's keeping a piece to a quieter blender.